Welcome to our weekly Forex forecast, and this is for trading for the week of June 7th to the 11th. Before we dive in, just a quick disclaimer here. This is for educational purposes only. Trading is a risky business, so please be careful with your money. As usual, we'll start off by taking a look at our calendar here. Here we go. Okay, so in terms of news that we have, nothing urgent in the initial part of the week here. We do have tons of news. And in terms of the important ones here, first of all, Japan here. Japanese yen hasn't been that strong. So the current account numbers here, current account number will be important. And the GDP numbers, of course, will be important. Other than that, we have the ZU economic sentiment tends to be important here as well. So this one here looking positive, which is good. Now, as the restrictions lift up and the vaccinations are, the number of vaccinations are improving, so we should see these numbers going up. And if the numbers don't go up, that would be concerning and could have a negative impact. But consumer sentiment numbers here for Australia and business confidence numbers will be important. So Wednesday on is when things get a little busy. We do have Bank of Canada rate statement. So Bank of Canada has previously, they have provided guidance in terms of when the interest rates will be raised, and they have moved that forward. Now, if they continue on with the forward guidance being that they're going to increase interest rates, they're going to change the monetary policy or tighten the monetary policy, that would be good for the Canadian dollar. So we'll keep an eye on it. At this point, not looking for interest rate hikes. That will come next year in 2022. But for now, it will be all about the commentary. Any tightening or any mention of tightening of monetary policy will have a positive impact on Bank of Canada or the Canadian dollar, actually. Same thing here for euro. The ECB hasn't really provided any kind of forward guidance at this point. So if they mention tightening monetary policy, or they talk about when the interest rates will likely go up, that will have a positive impact on euro. So if they pull it closer, if let's say they say 2022, that will have a positive impact on euro. So anytime the tightening, the monetary policy gets tightened, that will be positive for the currency. So we'll keep an eye on it, on this here as well. This will be important. And then we have CPI numbers here. CPI numbers are important. So inflation here is becoming more important with the amount of money that has been pumped into the economy. Everything is getting more expensive, and as a result of that, so basically the money is losing its value because of the oversupply of money, and inflation has been a concern. So if it starts to go up, if it comes in substantially higher here, that will not be good, and we're likely to see a negative impact from that. So keep that in mind, which will basically force the Fed to raise rates. So we'll have a positive impact on US dollar, but it will be negative for the stock market. And the concern will be that the central bank or the Fed will, excuse me, will be forced to increase rates. So we're likely to see US dollar go up as a result of that. And other than that, looking fairly good here. Consumer sentiment numbers here that can have an impact on the US dollar here as well. Okay, so that's it. Let's move on to our charts. We'll start off with euro dollar here. So as we can see, euro for the last 3 weeks has been stuck in this range now. It did drop, came into the support level here, but it has bounced back up here. So right now bias is neutral. So in this case, I'm looking for a bit of a move up and then a retest of the support level here. Basically, sorry, excuse me, basically expecting a range bound move here for 3 weeks here, price hasn't been able to move through the resistance. So we may see a retest here, but we'll have to wait and see which direction it wants to move in. So right now, this is more of a wait and see. So we have a neutral bias here for euro dollar. Pound is also looking neutral here. As we can see, it's right into resistance here, and this one has also been range bound over the last 3 weeks. So it rejected the high, but also rejected the support. So this is similar. This one here, we need to wait and see. Right now, expecting a range bound move. And once it breaks in either direction, that's the direction we will follow. So for now, looking for a move between 1.4240 and 1.4070, so neutral bias for pound dollar as well. Aussie dollar here, this one moved down slightly and came into the next support level, but hasn't really done a whole lot. So right now, as we can see, overall, it's been trading in this range here as well. So bias for this one is neutral as well. It's come into support, which means it can push back into higher into the range. So either towards, so the first level to test here would be 0.7620, which is the high of this previous candle, but it's not really moving much. It's just been stuck here for several weeks now. So I'm just expecting a move higher, potentially back to a retest of 0.7820. And then we could see a drop, or if it goes through that, then we will look for the high of the range. But overall neutral bias for Aussie dollar as well. New Zealand dollar, this one is still range bound, as we can see. Price is trading in a range sideways here, did come into the support level, bounced off of the support level like it did previous times here. And now we are moving back towards the top of the range. So again, I'm looking for a range bound move here. So bias here is neutral as well. So we need to wait and see if it will break out of the range. So neutral bias for New Zealand dollar as well. Dollar CAD here, this is also looking range bound for the last 3 weeks or 4 weeks here. Price hasn't really done much. It's been stuck between 1.2150 and 1.2010. So right now, this is again neutral. We'll have to see. It's holding the lows though, which means it could drop here. So overall neutral to bearish, I would say. But again, we are into support levels that we haven't seen in a long time, since 2015, which means there could be trouble here. So right now, neutral bias looking for a retest of 1.2010. Only if it breaks that level, then we will look for a continuation. Right now, though, this is neutral. Euro pound also in a neutral territory for the last 4 weeks here. It's been stuck in this range. As we can see, price has rejected the high of the range. So I'm looking for a move back towards 0.8550. But overall, this is also looking range bound here. And I'm just expecting price to basically go sideways between 0.8640 and 0.8550. So this is also neutral here. Looks like a lot of wait and see type of moves in the market right now. This one as well, as we can see, this is also range bound. Price has been stuck sideways here. Not a whole lot going on over the last few weeks. Price did drop here, but the concern here would be, so it is neutral. The concern here would be, does have a nice bearish candle close, but again, we had a bearish candle here and price couldn't make it through. So here, if it goes, if it bounces off of the bottom of this or the support here of the range, then we are likely to see a move back into the range here. So bias is neutral to bearish, but it will only turn bearish once we cross the support level here, and then we will target the next level at 1.0875. But until then, we are stuck in a range here. So neutral to bearish bias here for Euro Swiss franc. Pound Swiss franc, this one is also looking neutral. As we can see, Price has been stuck between 1.26 and 1.2820 for several weeks. This week's candle close is completely neutral. It's a spinning top, just like the others we have been seeing. At this point, I am expecting price to trade between 1.2820 and 1.2600. So this is also neutral here. Another thing to keep in mind, actually, so somebody just mentioned here, seasonality. With summer, markets do tend to become more range bound because a lot of people will be going away for summer and doing other things. So do keep that in mind. Now, in terms of this one here, this is also looking neutral. This is a completely neutral candle. Price opened and closed at exactly the same point. So a neutral candle here. So this is also range bound. So keep in mind, with this being range bound, again, we're looking for a sideways move here, 0.9060 and 0.8930. So overall, this is also neutral. Pound yen here. This one is holding the highs here. So at this point, still overall, though, it still is bullish, but we are into some resistance levels here, or close to resistance levels. So we have to be careful with this one. As we can see back here, this is where price turned around from, and previously price has reacted at these levels. So this is an important level for pound yen. Right now, it's pulling back into that resistance, turning into support. So if it holds above, we are likely to see a move higher. Right now, I am neutral, so I would say neutral to slightly bullish here for pound yen. If it holds above 146.60, we're looking for a continuation higher. But keep in mind, it can pull back into 153.50 as well. So there is that room for more of a deeper pullback, and this could become range bound here. So we'll watch out for that. Right now, basically looking for it to find its range, and then we will look for a continuation. So neutral to slightly bullish bias here for pound yen. Euro yen here, this one has Euro yen has pulled back. Now, again, we are into some resistance levels that we haven't seen since 2018 here. So important support resistance levels for Euro yen. It went through them, but now it's coming into this support. So even though we have a weekly bearish candle close, it's not an engulfing candle, which means we could get a pullback here, and then price could continue. So these resistance levels could turn into support. So I would watch out for that. Overall bias is still upwards here. The trend is bullish. So looking for a drop. So first place to look for a drop, I would be looking at 132.85. But do keep in mind it could drop further into 132.50. So we could get a bit more of a pullback before we see a continuation higher. So this one as well, overall it's bullish. But I think we could see more of a pullback. So keep that in mind. Bias here is neutral for Euro yen. Dollar yen here, this one hasn't really done a whole lot either. Price went into resistance, as we can see here, and then it has dropped from there. So overall, this is also a little sideways here. It seems to be pulling back. But so we have a bearish pin bar here. The concern here would be price is into an important support resistance level. So right here, this is an important support resistance level where price has reacted previously. So if it doesn't go through, we could still see a continuation. So there's a slight upward bias here, but overall we are still in this upward trend. So right now I'm looking for a bit of a drop. We could see a drop towards 108.30, but again, this is still within this, it will be trading within the range. So neutral bias for neutral to slightly bearish, as in looking for a retest of the bottom of the range here. And then we could see a continuation. So neutral to slightly bearish bias for dollar yen. Aussie yen here, this one hasn't done much. It's trading in a range. It's been sideways here in a larger range for some time. And over the last few weeks, it has been stuck in a very, very narrow range between 85.40 and 83.85. So right now, looking for a neutral move here or a sideways move. Now it's holding this to this previous upwards bullish move here. So in this case, still neutral bias, overall bias still remains to the upside, but keep in mind here, price could do one of these. So neutral bias for now, we just need to wait for it to break out of the range. New Zealand yen, this one has dropped this week. And we are back into this range that it was trading in over the last little bit. So with this bearish candle, the bias still is neutral because it's still sideways, hasn't really done a whole lot really. So I'm looking for a bit more of a drop potentially into 78 and then looking for a further continuation upwards here. Overall, again, we are in more of a upwards trend here. So looking for a bit more of a pullback before a continuation. So neutral bias with this one here as well. I think we could see a range bound move or continuation of a range bound move here for New Zealand yen as well. Cad Yen here, this one has been bullish. It did pull back, but it's still holding onto that bullish bias. We could see a deeper pullback into 89.80 here and then a higher move. But overall, this one is still in a bullish trend as well. And I'm looking for a continuation of that trend. But watch out for that slightly deeper pullback into 89.80. All right, so let's take a look at our commodities now, starting off with silver here. We have seen this back and forth move here. The ADP non-farm payroll numbers ADP numbers came in higher than the non-farm payroll numbers, actual non-farm payroll numbers, so that kind of made that price drop one way and then go back in the other direction. So at this point, it's still neutral. This week's candle close is completely neutral, spinning top candle. So in this case, again, neutral bias, and we will see which direction it wants to go in, but it doesn't look quite ready yet. So right now, looking for a move between 28.70 and 27.00. So neutral bias for silver here. Gold is also sideways here, as we can see prices into resistance. So it's holding below the resistance level. So this support turning into resistance, but then there's this support here as well. So it's kind of stuck between two levels at this point. So I'm looking for a retest of 1916, but if it fails, we are looking for a move back. And this could become a range bound here. So bias at the moment is neutral for gold as well. Oil here, oil breaking out finally after getting stuck in this range for quite some time. And now we could look for a move further here towards 71.10 and then potentially higher into 72.50. So bias is bullish. It's broken through the resistance here. So watch out for a bit of a pullback for a retest of the top of the range and then a continuation higher. So it was stuck in the range sideways here for some time, but now it's managed to break out. So I'm looking for a continuation move into 71.10 and then 72.50. Copper here, copper hasn't really done much. It did drop, but it's still sideways here. It's been stuck in this range for 3 weeks. Last time it was bearish. Price wasn't able to break through the support. We do have a bearish candle here, but again, it seems to be bouncing off of the support level, which means we are likely to see more of a sideways move here from copper as well. So neutral bias here for copper. All right, so next one here. Bitcoin. So Bitcoin has been stuck sideways here and currently at 36,000. My charts aren't updated because my broker doesn't trade it on the weekend, but it's around 36,000 mark here. So basically we are sideways essentially for this one. Still stuck in a range. It's been in this range for quite some time. It has opportunity to go in either direction. So whichever direction it moves, it breaks into, we're likely to see a big move because it seems to be consolidating here for a long time. So longer it consolidates, the faster the move will be. So we will wait which direction it wants to go in. There's a lot of room to the downside for sure. But there's also room to the upside. At this point, this is neutral as well. So it's kind of similar to what we had here. Price consolidated here for a long time before it moved higher. And it could do the same here, consolidate for a long time, and it could move in either direction. So not quite, this is not quite ready yet. So bias right now is neutral. So looking at the weekly candle here, hasn't done much over the last couple of weeks. So neutral bias for Bitcoin. All right, S&P 500 looking bullish here. And as we can see, price is pushing into the high. It has been holding the high. Overall, still has this bullish bias to it. And with this one, we could, if we see a break, we're looking for price to shoot higher again, and the target here is 43.20 will be the first target once price goes through 43 and then 43.20. So once it goes through the resistance. So right now it's neutral to bullish bias. It's still in the range. It hasn't broken the high. Last time it was bullish here, it turned around. So I would be careful with that, but neutral to bullish bias here. Once it breaks out, I'm looking for a continuation. So neutral to bullish, target would be 43.20. Nasdaq here, this one as well, as we can see, price is has been moving higher. So right now it is into a bit of a resistance, but there is bullishness in it. Next target here is the high at 14,000. So bias is bullish for Nasdaq as well, looking for a move back up here. And then Dow Jones also pushing into the high. So this is looking bullish as well. Next target here is the high of 35,000. And then we'll back into, or we're looking to 35,500 will be the next target. So bullish bias for Dow Jones as well. DAX here, DAX breaking out. So this is also looking bullish. As we can see, price has held this previous support resistance level, and now it's breaking out of the range. So next target here is 16,000. So bullish bias for DAX. FTSE here, FTSE is sideways at the moment. It does have that bullishness in it, but not quite as strong as DAX is looking right now. So right now it's stuck sideways, but next target 71.20 and then 71.65. So neutral to bullish bias for FTSE. Nikkei here, Nikkei also looking bullish, closed the Friday with the pin bar here, or the whole week with the pin bar, I should say. So bias is bullish here, and next target would be 29,680. All right, so that's it for now. You guys have a wonderful trading week, and I will see you again. I'll be back with a daily analysis. Bye for now.